100mm f2.8 2x macro lens for full-frame cameras under $250, and it is made by PerGear company, so let's review that. What's good guys, my name is Oleg Nikitin and you're watching No Limits On channel, and to be honest, this is the first full-frame 100mm 2x macro lens that I've ever seen for this amount of cash. The kit is very straightforward. We have a cardboard box, the lens itself, and also the front and the back caps. The lens weighs over 800 grams and it is pretty beefy and big. It's made out of metal completely, and the rings of focus and aperture are super smooth. We have not clicked but declicked aperture, and the range is from f2.8 to f22, and the focusing ring is pretty smooth as well, and the most amount of scale is towards the macro capabilities, so it will be hard to focus at near the infinity distances. The filter thread is 67mm, a pretty common and popular one, and on the back we can see a metal lens mount. And this lens looks gigantic on my Sony ZV-E10 Mark II, but on bigger bodies like the Sony FX3 it'll be nice. And also I did extensively use this lens with a slider, and previously on my channel I had a great filmmaking tutorial about how to use a motorized slider. I'll leave a link to it in the description below. And these are the shots that you can take with this lens. For example, this is a part of a tree. I'm not sure what it is, but it looks so nice at f8. And right now we're looking at the birch at f8 as well. And here it is at the backstage photo. And this is the jewelry, so those are the earrings, the pretty long ones, and here I'm using the motorized slider as well. And this is a cactus that was standing in my daughter's room, and for some reason it does have those orangey kind of paintings on the needles, but it looks super cool. And this is my favorite Sony lens, 20-70 f4. Also had a review of this lens on the channel recently, go check it out after this video. And this is at f2.8, a shot of a car, so you can get those kind of results with this lens. And this is my big red record button of the Sony FX30. But how close is that, the 2x magnification? So here it is compared to my Sony 20-70 f4 lens, and the Sony has pretty decent maximum magnification at 0.39x, but here it is compared to the 2x magnification, and it's just night and day difference. Here we have the earrings, and this is also a pretty huge difference, and keep in mind that the minimum focusing distance at 70mm on the Sony 20-70 f4 is 25cm, but on the PerGear is 30cm, but we count the distance from the sensor, so it is pretty long lens, and if we count from the sensor itself, 30cm is not a lot. And here is my wedding ring, so the difference in magnification is simply huge, and I've been using the 20-70 f4 as my main macro lens for the last year or so. And with the crop sensor camera you can get even closer due to the crop factor. Now let's have a closer look at different apertures on the macro minimum focusing distance on the PerGear lens. Here it is at f2.8. At f4 we get more depth of field, then we have f5.6 and pretty good sharpness starting from f5.6. At f8 it looks great. At f11 we get the most amount of sharpness with this lens, f16 looks decent, and at f22 we get the effect of diffraction, and that is why it is looking softer than f16 or f11. And here's the comparison of f2.8, 5.6, f11 and f22, and as you can tell from f5.6 to f11 we get the best results with this lens, and basically any macro lens will give you the best results at about f8 to f11. And just out of curiosity, I did shot the brick wall. As you can tell, we have a slight pinkish distortion, but the sharpness and vignette results are very much usable, more than usable, let me say. At a 300% scale, we can see that at f2.8 it is very sharp indeed. The weak point of this lens is of course flares, so make sure the sun doesn't hit the lens directly or any source of light, because you get pretty big loss of contrast and huge flares, so just make sure you use this lens carefully and don't point the sources of light into the front element of the lens. But the good news is that this lens doesn't have any chromatic aberrations, even at f2.8, both in macro mode and in regular mode. I don't see any signs of chromatic aberrations, as you can tell from those examples. In terms of bokeh, this lens is simply gorgeous. Just look at this. At f2.8 it's looking amazing, and even if we stop down to f8 we still get a very smooth, very round bokeh. So here are the bokeh balls at night at f2.8, and they are very round, no signs of chromatic aberration, no outer membrane, no onion ringing, nothing, just the pure beauty of a bokeh. And when we step down from f2.8 to f8, we still retain the circular shape. It has like 11-bladed aperture if I'm not mistaken, and it's looking simply amazing, guys. But all 2x macro lenses suffer from huge focus breathing, so make sure you're not shooting video and wrecking focus with this lens, because you'll run into some issues, of course. And I also did bring this lens to an actual shoot with my friend who is shooting primarily like product photography and videography for marketplaces with a slider, and we did get a lot of cool shots with this lens, macro shots of course, and my friend was pleasantly surprised with the sharpness of this lens and how it works for this amount of cash. And the price of this lens right now, I'm not sure about the tariffs, about the Trump situation, etc. It's $230 at the moment of recording of this video. And the closest competitor to this lens is TT Artisan 100mm f2.8 lens for $100 more, and the next competitor is Venus Optics Laowa 100mm f2.8 2x macro as well for $500. So for $230, this lens is the best bang for a buck if you're looking for a 2x 100mm f2.8 macro lens for full-frame camera. So to conclude guys, I'm more than satisfied with this PerGear lens. For the money, it's simply great. So if you are into macro photography or videography and you are on the budget and you're not afraid of a pretty heavy and beefy lens, I can highly recommend this one. So if you have any further questions, please feel free to ask them down below, and if you did enjoy this video, please smash the like and subscribe buttons and hit the notifications bell. And right here I'll leave my slider tutorial video in which we have this PerGear lens as well. So see you there guys, take care, bye.